What is up guys, it's Solem here, back with another Wrath of the Lich King Classic video. So today we're talking about whether or not you can play Wrath of the Lich King Classic as a casual player. Basically, is Wrath Classic casual friendly? I mean, you can always play the game as a casual player. That is one of the main things about an MMORPG. You can do whatever you want, but is Wrath itself, as an expansion, casual friendly? And is it more casual friendly than, for example, TBC Classic was? Let's talk about it. I'll divide this into several different categories, so I talk about it one thing at a time. So first up, different raid sizes. This makes it much easier to create guilds around raiding, as you no longer have to have 25 people in order to actually raid. This offers much more flexibility, so if you're a 10-man raiding guild, that is 15 less people that you need to think about, and the less people are in a raiding roster, the less potential issues there are. In Classic WoW, when we had 40-man raiding, sometimes we needed 50 people in a raiding roster, just in case real life happened or family stuff came in the way, so having the flexibility to scale down your raiding roster is definitely helpful in creating a casual friendly environment, in my opinion. Next up, different raid difficulties. In Classic WoW and TBC Classic, we've only really had one raid difficulty. This changes in Wrath of the Lich King, as we now have both normal and heroic raiding, plus we have 10-man and 25-man raiding like I just talked about. Normal and heroic offers different difficulties, which also helps create a more casual friendly environment, as more people will now be able to experience raids. If you don't want to do heroic raids but you still want to actually experience the raid encounters, you can simply raid on normal difficulty, and you still get to experience everything the game has to offer. When it comes to offering a casual friendly game, I think it's important that everyone who plays the game has the opportunity to experience everything in the game in some way, regardless of their skill, and raids are actually quite an important aspect of Classic WoW. One thing worth mentioning here, since we are talking about raid difficulties, is that Blizzard are looking to make the first raid of Wrath Classic, aka Naxxramas, a little bit more difficult than it was back in OG Wrath, since the Nax tier was simply way too easy back then, and it's also been way too easy on private servers as well, and people want a challenge. Either way, even with increased difficulties in general, you still have both normal and heroic raids, which means more people will be able to experience these raids, and if you're not hardcore enough to raid on heroic, you can still raid on normal. Another thing that I want to talk about is the fact that heroic dungeons are much easier in Wrath than in TBC. This goes right back to the inclusivity point I just talked about, being able to experience everything in the game, and heroic dungeons are an important milestone in the gearing up process before stepping foot inside raids. For TBC Classic, heroic dungeons were incredibly difficult, and at some point they were even more difficult than raids, but for Wrath of the Lich King, the difficulty of heroic dungeons have been tuned down massively. This was probably because of the random dungeon finder which came out in Wrath, which we will not have in Wrath Classic, but the heroic dungeon difficulty will still remain the same as in OG Wrath, which means more people will be able to do them. There are also some fairly important daily quests inside heroic dungeons, offering both gold and badges, which can be spent on gear, and basically in Wrath, doing heroic dungeons are quite important for gearing up in general. Next up, we have two new changes that have been made specifically for Wrath Classic, which were not present in the original version of Wrath of the Lich King, and these changes were made on the beta quite recently, so chances are some of you might not know about them, but let's talk about them. So first up, you can now get emblems of heroism from questing by finishing off storylines in each zone. This will help you gear up your character before even hitting level 80. You can literally work on your end game progression while leveling up your character, literally hitting two birds with one stone. While this can be seen as both a good and a bad thing depending on how you look at it, you simply can't deny that this change does make Wrath Classic in itself a lot more casual friendly, as more casual players without a raiding guild will now have the ability to purchase a raid item or two with the emblems that they obtained through questing. Apparently, by completing all of the storyline quests, that you're looking at about 40 emblems of heroism, which is enough to buy 2 smaller pieces of gear, or 1 very big piece of gear. Either way, it is definitely a quality of life upgrade for casual players. Speaking of quality of life upgrades, you can now get elixirs and potions from completing elite quests, making your questing journey a lot smoother. Basically, by completing any elite quest or a breadcrumb quest in a quest chain that involves elite quests or group quests, you will now get an item called Northrend Adventuring Supplies, which is basically just a goodie bag giving you some goodies while leveling. Opening these supplies will give you a bunch of health food to regain health, and you will get healing potions, mana potions, and different elixirs that you can pop while leveling to make leveling easier, or you can straight up trade them to other players for gold if you're looking for some easy gold. Overall, if you complete all of the possible elite quests and breadcrumb quests while leveling in Northrend, you will actually obtain quite a few of these supplies, and if you sell all of your potions and elixirs from these supplies, that will actually add up to hundreds of gold. Personally, I would like to see them make the items you get from these supplies soulbound, but we are not really here to talk about my opinion on this, so let's keep going. If you're into gold farming like me, then Wrath is probably going to be your favorite expansion so far in Classic WoW. TBC Classic was fun when it comes to gold farming, sure, but Wrath simply offers so much more variety and so many different gold farms, plus it offers long-term viability of each farm. For example, skinning farms that are relevant in phase 1 of Wrath will still be relevant in phase 5 of Wrath as well, because you can turn Borean leather into heavy Borean leather, and you can use heavy Borean leather to purchase Arctic fur, effectively allowing you to trade basic leather up to the most rare type of leather that is used in crafting epic items. You also simply have the fact that more classes are viable for gold farming, boomkins have received huge buffs to their damage, protection warriors are actually insane, warlocks are godlike, rogues can farm roughly 700 gold per hour in Karasan, which is literally raw vendor gold, and paladins can farm incredible gold per hour in both retribution and protection spec. You can farm both in the open world and inside dungeons, and yeah, overall there are just so many options, and as someone who really enjoys farming gold, I seriously cannot wait to play Wrath. And if you are into gold making and gold farming like me, make sure to check out my Wrath Classic Gold Guide, where I reveal all of my gold making information such as gold farms, investments, how to make gold with professions, choosing the best class for gold farming, auction house gold making strategies, crafting and flipping for insane profit, you name it. This is a project that I've spent countless hours on and will keep updating throughout Wrath Classic, and once you purchase the guide you will receive all of the future updates for free. You also get access to an exclusive gold making Discord for Wrath Classic when you purchase the guide, and you can literally get it for half price by using the code Solheim, so make sure you check out that guide through the link down below. That is pretty much it for today though. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up down below and subscribe to the channel for more Wrath videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.